Hello, YouTubers, friends, compatriots, blue liquor shills, deathly serfs, peasants, vassals, minions, meat sacks. I'm useful idiot. Welcome. So I finally sifted through enough material on this whole USAID fracas to reasonably outline and try and explain in simple terms what's going on here. And I think the overriding umbrella theme is that most government agencies are a complete train wreck. They don't get audited. They're spending other people's money, taxpayer money, and they always expand far beyond their original mandates, and they've just become giant money holes, and nobody's held accountable. And they also expand their bureaucracies, and a lot of the bureaucracy sucks up all the money that's supposed to be going for projects that are under their umbrella. So the first thing I want to bring up is the fact that the USAID program was created under John F. Kennedy in 1961, and I'm sure he had no idea that it would become this massive beast it is now, and his intentions were good. The idea to use a government agency, which he created with an executive order, by the way, that would help people all around the world with real issues. And of course, we've gotten to the point now where it has become a catch-all for all kinds of pet projects all over the world, and we've seen plenty of examples of that. There's no reason at all why the U.S. government should be involved in funding LGBT drag shows or creating a Sesame Street in Iraq and all the other stories that we've heard by now. And that's what I mean by overreach. Nobody has any problems with legitimate U.S. aid going to people in need. And so now we have the fact that Trump has basically stopped for 90 days to have a review of USAID and look into all its dirty laundry. And that's what's going on. And he's immediately addressing the issue by trying to reduce the personnel, which has grown to an immense 10,000 people working USAID, down to 300, which seems more reasonable. Even the Department of Education only has about 4,000 people. And so the idea of reducing the bureaucracy right off the bat is a legitimate action. And the idea of freezing all activities by USAID to have a chance to actually examine everything that's going on with USAID is completely legitimate, and I applaud that. And of course, we're finding out all kinds of dirty laundry about it. For one, $8 million going to Politico, a supposed news outlet that is completely on board with the left-wing narrative. And this goes for numerous other outlets, 5,000 news outlets in all, including the BBC, and over 9,000 journalists. And the fact is, they created an entity called the Internews Network, and they used USAID and their funding to basically create a massive global censoring operation, which is not what USAID should be about. And that's what I mean by overreach. Also, the USAID has been used as a CIA front, and something like, what, $5 billion went into NGOs operating in Ukraine to instigate a coup in Ukraine. And so, once again, these are not legitimate projects for something that was designed to help real people around the globe with real issues. And we also find that USAID is involved in funding some sex trafficking. It was involved in funding the Wuhan lab. It was involved in propping up irrigation in Afghanistan, theoretically to get people in Afghanistan to grow other crops besides poppy. But of course, aside from the good intentions, it ended up paying for irrigation so that we now have record-breaking cultivation of poppies in Afghanistan. So also promoting tourism in Lebanon. These are things the U.S. shouldn't be involved in and shouldn't be funding, and it certainly shouldn't be done with U.S. taxpayers' money and all these boutique projects. But that's what happens when there's no oversight, there's no audits, The fact that somebody's actually going to cease and desist activities, which is the only way you can really tackle it. You got to freeze everything right now, and then take a look at the books and find out how much money's going in and who it's going to. And right now, USAID has been denying access to even how much money is involved and who it's going to. So these need to be addressed. And a lot of the controversy right now is because of the fact that Trump doesn't have the legal right to shut down USAID. And that's true. Because at one point, I think under Obama, I could be wrong, but it was moved. It was, aside from the executive order, it was created as an actual federal agency. And so legally, Trump doesn't have the legal basis to completely shut it down. He did it by executive order. And there's the reasoning that it was created by an executive order, so he should be able to shut it down using executive order, but it's gotten more complicated than that now. So since 1998, it's been an independent entity. And since 2016, the funding for USAID has doubled. So obviously there's been an explosion in pet projects and huge amounts of money. And as I mentioned before, a lot of this money doesn't even reach the people it's supposed to reach. It gets sucked into the bureaucracy and pays relatively high salaries for government positions. And so it becomes an entity in itself that sucks up all the money, and it isn't really a USAID program anymore. It's more welfare for overpaid government workers, and a huge number of them. And so this is all very problematic. I would add that it's pretty hypocritical for Democrats to be outraged about a potentially illegal move by Trump when Biden completely circumvented the Supreme Court decisions and legalities to perpetrate his student debt loan relief program. So, as always, hypocrisy is the coin of the realm in Washington, D.C., and that's what we're seeing now. The histrionics and hyperbole by the left and in the Democratic politicians screaming about everything that's going to be destroyed or stopped because USAID has been halted right now. I don't believe that Trump has any impetus to shut down any legitimate programs. And I think once the 90-day freeze and an audit happens and they root out all these nonsense programs and superfluous personnel, they're going to come up with a USAID that actually goes back to its original mandate, helping real people with real issues. And that's where we want to be. So anyway, I hope that's a simpler explanation of what's going on here. Looking at the headlines, there's a lot of cognitive dissonance and a lot of noise out there, and the Democrats are making it worse. They're trying to latch onto an issue, completely distort it, and use it for political advantage and scare people. Once again, they're using fear of all the outrageous things that are going to happen if we stop USAID for 90 days and actually take a look at what they're doing, which completely complicates the matter, certainly for me and you and everyone else to sort out what the realities are. So anyway, that's my simple attempt to explain simply the entire USAID shitstorm so far. I hope it's helped clarify things. Did for me. I'm a useful idiot. Don't you be one too.